Permit no innocent man to be punished, but let no guilty man escape.
We are pleased to present Let No Guilty Man Escape, the story of Judge Isaac Parker, the hanging judge of the Western District of Arkansas, by Mrs. Tyler's 7th grade class.
Judge Parker, also called the Hanging Judge, judged the outlaws from the Indian Territory in the late 1800s. He was born in 1838 and died in 1896. He was the main judge for the United States District Court for the Western District of Arkansas, located in Fort Smith. He was thought to be a cruel judge by some, but was quoted saying, "I have ever had the single aim of justice in view. Do equal and exact justice is my motto." Judge Isaac Parker, 1896.
The Indian Territory was an Indian settlement reserved for Native Americans after the Louisiana Purchase. It existed from 1834, after the Indian Removal Act, until 1907, when Oklahoma became a state. As more people settled in the area bought in the Louisiana Purchase, the Native Americans were pushed west into Indian Territory.
The Western District of Arkansas was created after the Indian Removal Act of 1830 created chaos and violence in what is now eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas, as well as parts of Texas and Kansas, making a court necessary. The westward expansion of the country and resettlement of many Native American tribes during the 1830s and 40s in what is now Oklahoma had people confused about jurisdiction that was settled by the district court.
Judge Parker's court saw some of the most famous outlaws of the time come through its doors. Their 15 minutes of fame usually lasted less than a year, from their first murder until their execution. The Rufus Buck gang, who committed robberies, rape, and murder, were sentenced to death, and all 5 members were hanged on July 1st, 1896. The famous woman outlaw Belle Starr was tried repeatedly for robbery in Judge Parker's court, but she was known for a lot of other outlawish things like horse thievery, bribery, bootlegging, and harboring fugitives. Her longest sentence was a year in correctional services. Judge Parker never sentenced her to hang.
One woman he did sentence to hang was Mary Kentring. In 1895, Kentring was found guilty of murdering her husband, Andrew, to cash in on his insurance policy. Upon his sentence, Judge Parker asked if he had anything to say. She replied only, "I am innocent of my charge. I still have my honor, my husband's grave, and a broken heart." She was sentenced on October 1st, 1995, but an appeal to Supreme Court saved her life, and she was later acquitted after Parker's death. One famous outlaw Judge Parker had the honor to sentence was Cherokee Bill, an outlaw famous for his many robberies with the Cook gang. He was sentenced to hang then and attempted escape from the Fort Smith jail. He shot and killed the guard Larry Keating. For this, he received the second death sentence.
We now join the Honorable Judge Isaac Parker's court in session as he sentences Cherokee Bill to his second death sentence in August of 1895.
Cherokee Bill, stand up. Crawford Goldsby, alias Cherokee Bill, you have been convicted of the murder of Lawrence Keating. Under the law, it becomes the duty of the court to pass upon you the sentence of the law. That sentence which the law says shall follow a conviction of the crime of murder. Have you anything to say why that sentence shall not be passed?
No.
The crime you have committed is but another evidence, if any were needed, of your wicked, lawless, bloody, and murderous disposition. It is another evidence of your total disregard of human life, another evidence that you revel in the destruction of human life. The many murders you have committed, and their reckless and wanton character, show you to be a human monster from whom innocent people can expect no safety. The killing of Lawrence Keating shows 3 wicked and unprovoked murders that we know you have committed. If reports speak the truth, 2 or 3 more innocent human beings have been robbed of their lives by you.
Judge Parker was known for his long, flowery speeches. Basically, he was known for his long speeches that went on and on and on. We now turn to Judge Parker's sentencing, still in progress.
You have taken the life of a good man, whoever harmed you, of a faithful citizen, a kind father, and a true husband. Your wicked act has taken from a home its head, from a family its support. You have made a weeping widow. Your murderous bullets has made 4 little sorrowing and helpful orphans. If you are the man of the crime, and you heed not the wails and shrieks of a sorrowing and mourning wife no more than you do the cries for a dead father of the poor orphans.
Judge Parker had great sympathy for all the victims of crimes, particularly the wife and children of the murdered Lawrence Keating. With great justification, he sentenced Cherokee Bill to death.
For the same crime against the laws of the United States, you will be hanged by the neck until you are dead.
That execution was set for Tuesday, September 10th, 1895. In conclusion, Judge Parker said,
May God, whose laws you have broken, and before whose tribunal you must appear, have mercy on your soul.
Although hangings were not made public after 1876, the book Law West of Fort Smith gives a description of Cherokee Bill's execution day. Here's our interpretation.
Well, I'm ready to go now. Alright, let's get the jail cleared, everyone.
Everybody out! Everybody out! The prisoner's about to walk the gallows.
Clear the way! Clear the way!
No.
Get close!
there were estimated to be 2,000 to 3,000 people there that day.
He needs to die.
This is as good a day to die as any.
He needs to die. Let him be hanged. Upon arriving at the end of the jail, Bill looked around at the crowd and said,
It looks like a regiment of soldiers.
He continued to look around at the crowd, eyeing them curiously.
He needs to die.
Yeah, let the door go! Hang!
Mother, you ought not to come here.
I can go, to which Bill's mother replied,
I can go wherever you go.
The death warrant was then read as Bill stood seemingly ready to just get the hanging over with. When asked if he had any last words, he said that he did not, and allowed his priest to say a prayer. After the prayer, his arms and legs were bound and the rope was placed around his neck. He looked down at the crowd and said,
Goodbye, all you chums down that way.
He needs to die.
He needs to die. Within 12 minutes, Cherokee Bill's body was down from the ropes, put in a coffin, and the crowd dispersed.
In conclusion, Judge Parker held approximately 13,000 trials, of which around 9,000 people were judged guilty. To be hanged, you had to have been convicted of rape or murder. 160 criminals were sentenced to hanging. 156 were men, and only 4 were women. Only 78 were actually hung. The rest appealed in a higher court, died in prison, or tried to run away and were shot.
Our sources for this program include Law of West Fort Smith, A History of Frontier Justice in the Indian Territory, 1834 to 1896 by Glenn Shirley, legendsofamerica.com, jailery.com, footnote.com's Wild West Lawmen and the Outlaws They Pursued, Oklahoma Historical Society's Encyclopedia of Oklahoma History and Culture throughout Oklahoma State University, the Fort Smith National Historic Site, a part of the National Park Service. Project inspired by the recent movie adaptation of True Grit by Charles Portis. Women in History presented by Lakewood Public Library, Lakewood, Ohio.